Welcome to At Home with Jonathan and Mary.
Today we're in the kitchen and we're making our favorite Valentine cookies. It's a basic sugar cookie with some M&ms in it. Let's get started. Okay, for our ingredients, we've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt. For our wet ingredients, we've got 2 sticks of unsalted butter, totaling 1 cup of butter. We've got 1 cup of granulated sugar, half a cup of brown sugar, 2 eggs at room temperature, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we're going to add some M&Ms. I typically will add a 10-ounce bag, but we had a little bit left over from another project, so we'll add those as well. We've got the Valentine blend, or the Cupid's blend, for Valentine's Day, and that color really pops in these cookies. So we're going to start by putting the butter and the sugars in our stand mixer. We've got the paddle attachment. The butter has been sitting out for a couple of hours, so it's room temperature, but it's not real soft, because room temperature in the winter still is pretty rough. So we want to mix our butter with our sugars to start. You can see that butter probably could have been a little softer to start, but it'll work. Go ahead and get a little liquid in there by adding our vanilla. And then we'll add our eggs. And that's looking a little better. Let's speed it up a little. So we've got that nicely mixed up. We'll go ahead and turn the mixer off and get ready to add our dry ingredients. Before we add them though, we're going to combine them. So we'll add our salt and our baking soda both in with our flour. Give that a little stir. And then we're going to put this in modest amounts. As that gets mixed in, we'll just keep adding a little bit more of our flour mixture. Alright, so that's ready to take the paddle off, and then we will add our M&Ms and be ready to bake. Okay, so before we put our M&Ms in, we actually want to reserve some in a glass bowl or a separate bowl so that we can use those when the cookies come out of the oven. So these are going to be some interesting colored cookies with the traditional M&M colors mixed in with our Cupid's colors. So we'll give that a gentle mix. And you can see we got a lot of candy in there for the dough. So these should be some pretty colorful cookies. There we go. And then once we got that all mixed together, we're going to drop our cookies onto our cookie sheet in relatively small teaspoon sizes. Do you remember that time you came in the kitchen and I was making M&M cookies and you saw that little bowl of candy?
Oh yeah, and I grabbed a handful for myself, and you were like, "Don't touch those."
Because those are what make the cookie look good. So when they come out of the oven, we just gently press the extra M&Ms into the top, and that's what makes them look pretty in the top. And that day, most of my top M&Ms disappeared. Alright, we'll set that tray aside, and we'll start on the next. Our oven is heated to 350 degrees, and we're going to put those in for about 8 to 9 minutes. I'll probably turn them midway just so that they get an even cooking, but we'll check them in a couple of minutes. Look at those golden cookies.
Alright, and then we just need to grab some of these M&Ms, and we just press them in the top, just to give them a nice look when they're all done and cool. I'll just add like 4 or 5 of these per cookie. And then that's what these look like once they're all topped with those extra M&Ms. And it just gives it that extra, you know, pop with the M&Ms on top. I just think it looks a lot better.
The other thing is when you're baking the M&Ms, they lose their luster, And so by putting M&Ms on the top that haven't been baked, you get that shine that comes through the candy, which doesn't happen. I think this cookie here is kind of a good example. You can see the red that was baked in, and it's a very dull red. And then we've got the fresh M&M on top that hadn't been baked. So a little extra work, but definitely worth it if you want your cookies to look amazing.
And she's just going to put those on the cooling rack. Let those cool down for a little bit. And then we do have more cookies that we have to bake yet.
Go. And these cookies are ready to be packaged up and brought to the office for Valentine's Day. Thanks for baking some cookies with us today. We're going to give them a taste and make sure they're okay.
And like always, these are just delicious. So, you did a great job.
Well, you did too. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.
Happy Valentine's Day.